Good morning to all of you. Welcome back to a new lesson, Strategies for Enhancement in Food Production. The name of the lesson is Strategies for Enhancement in Food Production. That first topic, animal husbandry. And second topic, second topic is beekeeping. Beekeeping or apiculture is the maintenance of hives of honeybees for the production of honey. Beekeeping or apiculture. Another name of beekeeping is the apiculture, is the maintenance of hives of honeybees for the production of honey. It has been an age-old cottage industry. Honey is a food of high nutritive value and also find use in the indigenous system of medicine. Honey is a food of high nutritive value and also finds in the indigenous systems of medicine. Honeybee also produces bee wax, which finds many uses in industry, such as in the preparation of cosmetics and polishes of various kinds. So, use of honey. Honey is a food of high nutritive value and also finds use in the indigenous systems of medicine. And honeybee also produces bee wax as a co-product, which finds many uses in industry, such as in the preparation of cosmetics and polishes of various kinds. The increased demand of honey has led to large-scale beekeeping practices. It has become an established income-generating industry, especially it is a cottage industry, whether practiced on a small or large scale. So beekeeping, the another name of beekeeping is apiculture. In apiculture, maintenance of hives of honeybees for the production of honey. It has been an age-old cottage industry. Honey is of a food with high nutritive value and fine use in indigenous systems of medicine, especially in Ayurvedic medicines. Honeybee also produces as a co-product bee wax also. Bee wax also has many uses in industry, such as in the preparation of cosmetics and polishes of various kinds. The increased demand of honeybee has led to large-scale beekeeping practices. It is a cottage industry, whether practiced on a small or a large scale. Beekeeping can be practiced in area where there are sufficient bee pastures of some wild shrubs are there. Sufficient bee pastures, group of bee, some wild shrubs, fruit orchards, cultivated crops where we can see the beekeeping. Beekeeping can be practiced in area where there are sufficient bee pastures of some wild shrubs, fruit or cultivated crops. There are several species of honeybees which can be reared also. Artificially we can rear honeybees. Several species of honeybees are reared also, and natural honeybees are also using for beekeeping. Of this, the most common species is Apis indica. Apis indica is the most common honeybee which are used for beekeeping. Beehives can be kept in one's courtyard, on the veranda of the house, or even on the roof also. So beekeeping is not a labor-intensive industry. Beekeeping is not a labor-intensive because we can keep kept in one's own courtyard or on the veranda of the house or even on the roof also. So it is not considered as a labor-intensive industry. Beekeeping, though relatively easy, does require some specialized knowledge, and there are several organizations that teach beekeeping. So it is relatively very easy, we are thinking, but it requires some specialized knowledge, and there are several organizations that teach beekeeping. The following points are important for successful beekeeping. First one, knowledge of the nature and habit of bees. Knowledge of the nature and habit of bees. Nature and habit of bees should be known. Second one, selection of suitable location for keeping the beehives. Selection of suitable location for keeping the beehives. Third one, catching and hiving of swarms. Swarms means group of bees. Catching and hiving of swarms. And fourth one, management of beehives during different seasons. Management of beehives during different seasons. And the fifth one, handling and collection of honey and bee wax. So 5 different points are important for successful beekeeping. They are knowledge of nature and habit of bees, selection of suitable location for keeping the beehives, catching and hiving of swarms, that is group of bees, management of beehives during different seasons, and handling and collection of honey and of bee wax. Bees are the pollinators of many of our crop species such as sunflower, brassica, apple and pear. Not only getting honey or bee wax, bees are acting as a pollinators in many of our crop species like sunflower, brassica, apple and pear also. They are acting as the pollinators. Pollinators means agents who are transferring pollen grain from male flower to female. Keeping beehives in cocoons during flowering period increases pollination efficiency and improves the yield beneficial both from the point of view of crop yield and the honey. Keeping beehives in cocoons during flowering period increases pollination efficiency and improves the yield beneficial both from the point of view of crop field and the honey. In crop field, the pollination also doing, so it helps in crop field, and honey and bee wax also giving us a co-product, so it is helping in the honey yield also. So 5 different points required for the successful beekeeping are knowledge of the nature and habit of the bees, selection of suitable location for keeping the beehives, catching and hiving of swarms. Swarms means group of bees, management of beehives during different seasons, and handling and collection of honey and bee wax. In addition to giving honey and bee wax, it also helping for pollination of some crop species like sunflower, brassica, apple and pear. Keeping beehives in crop phase during flowering period increases pollination efficiency and improves the yield, beneficial both from the point of view of crop field and honey. Next topic we are going to discuss here is the fishing. Fisheries only. Fishery is an industry devoted to the catching, processing or selling of fish. Fishery is an industry devoted to the catching, processing or selling of fish, shellfish or other aquatic animals. Selling of fish also, shellfish and other aquatic animals like which are using for seafood. A large number of our population is dependent on fish products and other aquatic animals such as prawn, crab, lobster, edible oyster, etc. Commonly called as seafood. A large number of our population is dependent on fish products and other aquatic animals such as prawn, crab, lobster, edible oyster, etc. for food. Some of the freshwater fishes which are very common include katla, rohu and common carp. Some of the freshwater fishes which are very common include katla, rohu and common carp. Some of the marine fishes that are eaten include hilsa, sardines, mackerel and pomfrets. So examples of freshwater fishes are katla, rohu and carp. And examples of marine fishes are hilsa, sardines, mackerel and pomfrets. Fisheries has an important place in Indian economy. It provides income and employment to millions of fishermen and farmers, particularly in the coastal state. As India is a peninsular country, India has important place in Indian economy for the fishery. It provides income and employment to millions of fishermen and farmers, particularly in the coastal state. For many, it is the only source of their livelihood. In order to meet the increasing demands of fisheries, different techniques have been employed to increase production of fish and fish products. For example, through aquaculture, pisciculture, we have been able to increase the production of aquatic plants and animals. Aquaculture is the using to increase the production of aquatic plants, and pisciculture is using to increase the production of fishes. So two methods described here to increase the production of fishes are aquaculture and pisciculture. Through aquaculture and pisciculture, we have been able to increase the production of aquatic plants and animals. Both the freshwater and marine, both the fishes are included in pisciculture and aquaculture. So difference between pisciculture and aquaculture is that in aquaculture, plants are cultivated, and pisciculture, fishes are cultivated. This has led to the development and flourishing of the fishery industry, and it has brought a lot of income to the farmers in particular and country in general. We now talk about Blue Revolution as being implemented. Blue Revolution means increase or enhancements of food production from sea only. Sea color is considered as blue. So this enhancement of food production or seafood is considered as Blue Revolution as being implemented along the same lines as Green Revolution. Green Revolution is meant for agricultural or crop, and the Blue Revolution is related with the sea and the seafood. Sea and the seafood. Blue Revolution is for sea and seafood. Like that, Green Revolution is for agriculture and crop products. So fishery has an important place in Indian economy. It provides income to many of the millionaires, especially fishermen and farmers, particularly in coastal areas. It is the only source of some of their livelihood. In order to meet the increasing demands on fisheries, different techniques also applying in this field like aquaculture and pisciculture. Along with the pisciculture, aquaculture is also doing. So aquaculture means cultivation of crops and pisciculture means cultivation of fishes, both the freshwater and the marine fishes. This has led to the development and flourishing of the fishery industry, and it has brought a lot of income to the farmers in particular and country in general. Two revolutionary techniques are also involved with this. They are Green Revolution and the Blue Revolution. Blue Revolution meant for sea and seafood, development of seafood, and the Green Revolution meant for development of agricultural products and the crops. Next topic is plant breeding. Traditional farming can only yield a limited biomass as food for humans and animals only. Traditional farming giving limited biomass only. So some enhancement should be takes place to increase the production of food. Better management practices and increases in acreage can increase yield only. Better management practices and increase in acreage. Increase in acreage means increase in the field. Area of the field should be increased. More area should be cultivated. That also with the better management practice, then only we can bring the resources unlimited. Plant breeding as a technology has helped increase yields to very large extent. Plant breeding as a technology has helped increase yields to very large extent. WHO in India has not heard of Green Revolution, which was responsible for our country to not merely meet the national requirements in food production, but also helped us even to export it also. Through Green Revolution, which was responsible for our country to not merely meet the national requirement of the food, now it helps us to export some food item to different country also. This all we are achieved through Green Revolution. Now food requirement of our country also met by the Green Revolution, as well as some food we are exporting to different country also. This all got through Green Revolution only. Green Revolution was dependent to a large extent on plant breeding techniques for development of high yielding and disease resistant varieties of wheat, rice, maize, etc. So the basis of Green Revolution is plant breeding techniques for developing high yielding and disease resistant varieties like wheat, rice, maize, etc. What is plant breeding? Plant breeding is the purposeful manipulation of plant species in order to create desired plant types that are better suited for cultivation. The definition of plant breeding is the purposeful manipulation of plant species in order to create desired plant types that are better suited for cultivation. Which are better suited for cultivation? That type of plant are manipulating and cultivating. Manipulation means emphasizing that plant species. That type of plant is cultivating to get more desired food products that give better yield and disease resistance. This manipulated plant species give a better yield and at the same time they should be disease resistant also. Conventional plant breeding has been practiced for thousands of years. Since the beginning of human civilization, recorded evidence of plant breeding dates back to 9 to 11,000 years ago. 9,000 to 11,000 years ago. Since the beginning of human civilization, recorded evidence of plant breeding dates back to 9 to 11 years ago. Many present-day crops are the result of domestication in ancient times. Today, all of our major food crops are derived from domesticated varieties. All our major food crops are derived from domesticated varieties. Classical plant breeding involves the methods of breeding: crossing or hybridization of pure lights, followed by artificial selection to produce plants with desirable traits of higher yield, nutrition, and resistance to diseases. These are the techniques: crossing or hybridization of pure lights, followed by artificial selection of production of plants with the desirable traits of higher yield, nutrition, and resistance to disease. Crossing or hybridization of pure lights, followed by artificial selection to produce plants with desirable traits. Desirable traits means they should be given higher yield, higher nutritional value, and resistance to diseases. With advancement in genetics, molecular biology, and tissue culture, plant breeding is now increasingly being carried out by using molecular genetic tools. With advancement in genetics, molecular biology, and tissue culture, plant breeding is now increasingly being carried out by using molecular genetic tools. If we were to list the traits or characteristics that our breeders have tried to incorporate into crop plants, the first we would list would be increased crop yield and improved quality. Increased tolerance to environmental stresses like salinity, extreme temperature, drought. The plant should be tolerant towards the salinity, extreme temperature, and drought. Then only they can survive, because environment is not going to change for the plant. So plant should be find out some tolerance to the environmental stresses. Environmental stresses means salinity. Salinity means more content of salt. Extreme temperatures. Drought also. Drought means lack of water. Resistance to pathogen. The crop should be resistant towards the pathogens. Pathogens means disease causing organism like viruses, fungi, and bacteria. And increased tolerance to insect pests would be on our list. So if we were to list the trait or characters that the breeders have to try to incorporate into the crop plant. Now we are discussing which character should be incorporated into crop plants by the breeder. The first character is that increased crop yield and improved quality. Yield should be increased. More yield should be given by the plants and quality should be improved. Second is increased tolerance to the environmental stresses. It should be having tolerance towards the environmental stresses, because environment will be remain like that only. According to that, the plant should be changed its characteristic. Environmental stresses include salinity, extreme temperature, drought, etc. Resistance to pathogens, that is viruses, fungi and bacteria. And increased tolerance to insect pest would be on our list. Tolerance towards the pest also. Plant breeding programs are carried out in a systemic way worldwide in government institutions and commercial companies also. The main steps in breeding a new genetic variety of crop are collection of variability, second one evaluation and selection of parents, third one is cross hybridization among the selected parents, fourth one is selection and testing of superior recombinants, and fifth one is testing, release and commercialization of new cultivators. So 5 points are there to improve the breeding and a new genetic variety of crop are the main steps in breeding a new genetic variety. Main steps in breeding a new genetic variety of crop. From this lesson, a 4-mark question is there. So this topic is suitable to ask. 5 points are there. 1 4-mark question will be asked from this lesson. So this all of you have to learn also. So this is very suitable to ask us a 4-mark question because it is an essay type question only. So 5 main steps are there in breeding a new genetic variety of crop. They are collection of variability, evaluation and selection of parents, cross hybridization among the selected parents, selection and testing of superior recombinants, testing, release and commercialization of new cultivars. So one I will explain to you. First point is collection of variability. Genetic variability is the root of any breeding program. Genetic variability should be there for breeding. All the plants are alike, then all the offsprings are also will be alike only. So variability should be there. Genetic variability is the root of any breeding program. In many crops, pre-existing genetic variability is available from wild relatives of the crop. One main or parental crop will be there. By using science, the characters of that plant is changing from the original only. So one root plant will be there. From that variety of plants can be wild relatives of the crop can be prepared. Collection and preservation of all the different wild varieties, species and relatives of the cultivated species is a prerequisite of effective exploitation of natural genes available in the population. First, gene should be collected from the parent plant. After bringing different techniques, that genes can be altered. As a result, different kinds of plants, different variety of plants can be prepared from the parental population. The entire collection of having all the diverse alleles for all genes in a given group is called the germplasm collection. Germplasm collection. The entire collection having all the diverse alleles for all genes in a given crop. From a particular crop, all the genes are collected. Entire collection of genes or diverse alleles from a given group is called germplasm collection. Evaluation and selection of parents. The germplasm is evaluated so as to identify plants with a desirable combination of characters. The germplasm is evaluated so as to identify plants with a desirable combination of characters. The selected plants are multiplied. Many plants will be formed by this germplasm collection. From that, we have to identify that which are the plants with desirable characters. Then selecting that desirable combination of characters, and they are multiplied by breeding and used in the process of hybridization. Fewer lines are created wherever desirable and possible. For the desirable plants only we are selecting and hybridization, and fewer lines are preparing from desirable only. Undesirable one are not selected. Third one is cross hybridization among the selected parents. So after selecting the parents with a desirable characteristic, selecting the parents with a desirable characteristics, cross hybridization is doing. Superior male parent is selected, like that superior female parent are also selected. Afterwards, they are hybridized each other. So offspring with a desirable quality will be produced. So this is a very time consuming and tedious process, since the pollen grains from the desired plant chosen as a male parent are to be collected, and it is placed on the stigma of the flower of the desirable quality. So here both the male plant and female plant, both of them having desirable characteristics. Time consuming and tedious process it is. Pollen grain should be collected from desirable male plant, and it is deposited on the stigma of the desirable female plant only. So both the parents having desirable characteristics, so the offspring also having desirable characteristics. And fourth one is selection and testing of superior recombinants. The step consists of selecting among the progeny. Some offsprings are forming. From that, different type of characters are there. Some characters remain recessive, some characters remain dominant. So we have to test the characters of all the progeny. From that, which one is good to decide characters are selected. The selection process is crucial to the success of breeding objective and requires careful scientific evaluation of the progeny. So plants that are superior to both of the parents. Plants that are superior to both the parents, male plant also and female plant also. The offspring should be superior than the parent, because both the parents are selected with the desirable quality only. So this offspring is getting desirable qualities from both the parents. So the offspring should be having more quality than both the parents should be selected. So self-pollinated for several generations. Afterwards, they should be self-pollinated for several generations till they reach a state of uniformity, that is homozygosity. So the characters will not segregate in the progeny as we are doing the homozygosity of self-pollination. So two desirable characteristic parents are selected. Afterwards, mating is doing. So as both the parents having desirable characteristics, the offspring having more desirable characteristics than both the parents. And like that, offsprings are selected, then they are self-pollinated for several generations to avoid segregation. And last point is testing, release and commercialization. The newly selected lines are evaluated for their yield and their agronomic traits of quality, agricultural quality, disease resistance. The newly selected offsprings are evaluated for their yield, how much yield they are giving, and what are their agronomic trait. Agronomic trait means nutritional value, disease resistance capacity. These all are testing for the offspring. This evaluation is done by growing this in the research field, growing these plants in the research field and recording their performance under ideal fertilizer, application, irrigation and other crop management practices. By growing this plant only we can evaluate which one is having good agronomic quality, which one is giving more yield, which one is the species. After the evaluation in research field is followed by testing the materials in farmers field for at least 3 growing seasons at several locations in the country, representing all the agroclimatic zones, whether the crop is usually grown. The material is evaluated in comparison to the best available local crop cultivar, a check of reference culture.